Train the muscles, not the joints. All right, so I haven't done a career highlights video for a while, so I thought I'd just talk about when I won the Canadian Naturals. So I'm going to show you guys some pictures of when I won the Canadian Naturals. And yeah, this was back in 1998. So I had just earned my pro card in one federation. And then I competed in another federation, which was allowed back then because there's different federations, right? And I competed in Toronto with the Canadian Naturals, and it was through an organization called the INBA at that time. That was run by a guy named Jeff Kipple and another person, you know, in that federation. Anyway, they were all associated together. And yeah, I went out there and it was actually pretty awesome. Sorry, this is totally off topic, but if you notice there's an object that moves from the left-hand side of the screen to the right. It looks like a piece of fuzz or something like that, but it's kind of strange because my hair's not blowing in the wind, as you noticed. So I don't know what this thing is, but it's kind of weird, isn't it? Look at that. Strange, eh? Right over my head and then gone. So maybe it was just a piece of fuzz or something like that, but strange coincidence that I'm doing this move and at the same time that thing comes out of nowhere and starts attacking me. So just so you know, it's very important to make sure that you have the crane technique down, because you never know if aliens or pieces of fuzz will attack you. That's the moral of the story. And this is something I can teach you guys a little bit about dieting, right? And this is why dieting is so complicated sometimes. I had finished looking really good in 97 from just doing the low-fat diet, not really worrying about whether I'm going low carbs or anything. I drink lots of water and, you know, then cut back on the water the night before the show. And then, you know, I come in pretty lean, pretty dehydrated and everything. But then when I went to Toronto and I went to do the show, I'd been competing tons, and I'd competed in 96, 97, now in 98 I was competing again. And basically my body, I noticed, wasn't responding quite the same as it was before. It's almost like it was starting to rebound a little bit. So I don't know whether it's just because I was getting a little bit older, you know, or it was just my body was kind of rebounding against me because it had been dieting so much that then it was like, okay, I want to hold on to a little bit more body fat, right? So I started to diet and stuff, and then I got ready for the show. And when I showed up to the show, I noticed, like the night before, because I didn't have access to the food that I wanted and I didn't have enough stuff prepped with me, I had some sushi and stuff the night before, and that probably wasn't a good idea, because the next day I could see that I was watering over. Like I wasn't quite as lean as I was before at other shows, and I could tell the difference. So basically I had a friend with me who had competed lots, and he said, hey Jason, just don't drink any water, but then just have a bag of potato chips or something like that, and that'll help you fill out. So I basically did that, and I got some of my cuts back when I was on stage, but I left that show realizing that I need to do something different with my diet in order to get super shredded lean. But either way, I started seeing a lot of guys backstage, and some guys they looked unbelievable. I thought, man, these guys are just gonna walk all over me. Like there's no way I have a chance at winning the show. And one of those guys was Ian Walling. He looked unbelievable. So anybody out in Toronto in that area around that time knows this guy. He was competing quite a bit. He had a really nice symmetrical physique, and you could see he's the guy that's in a lot of the photos right beside me when we're being compared side by side. So the funny thing is I ended up winning that show, and I only beat Ian by 1 point. So it was a pretty close sort of show. I don't think I've ever been on a show that was that close before. So yeah, so I ended up taking the Canadian Nationals, and it was actually a fun sort of experience for me. And that was before I went to the Natural Olympia in Greece later on that year, and started competing in other aspects of the sport in other places, right? Say Muscle Manias, and started experimenting with different types of shows and federations to see if I can get more exposure. Actually, my brother was actually competing at that show too, and he ended up winning his division. So he looked unbelievable at that show. And I think this is when my brother was starting to creep up on me a little bit, because his conditioning was actually looking a little bit better than mine. And because I think I was dieting a little bit more often and competing more often, there's a possibility that my body was rebounding more than his, but who can say, right? So this was at the Canadian Natural Nationals in 1998. So I hope you enjoyed that, and I'll be sharing some more career highlights videos in the future. And thanks a lot for watching. If you need to get a hold of me, just go to naturalgallantbodybuilding.com, and take care for now.